Chapters 10 through 14 of the Book of the Revelation of Jesus Christ, from the American Bible Union's New Testament. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapters 10 through 14 of the Book of Revelation. Chapter 10. And I saw another strong angel coming down out of heaven, clothed with a cloud, and the rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book opened, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and the left upon the land, and he cried with a loud voice, as a lion roars. And when he cried, the 7 thunders uttered their voices. And when the 7 thunders spoke, I was about to write, and I heard a voice out of heaven saying to me, Seal up the things which the 7 thunders spoke, and write them not. And the angel whom I saw standing upon the sea and upon the land lifted up his right hand to heaven, and swore by him who lives forever and ever, who created heaven and the things therein, and the earth and the things therein, and the sea and the things therein, that there shall be time no longer. But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, when he is about to sound, then is the mystery of God finished, as he gave the joyful message to his servants, the prophets. And the voice which I heard out of heaven, I heard again speaking to me, and saying, Go, take the little book which lies open in the hand of the angel who stands upon the sea and upon the land. And I went to the angel, telling him to give me the little book. And he said to me, Take, and eat it up, and it will make thy belly bitter, but in thy mouth it will be sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the hand of the angel, and ate it up. And it was in my mouth as honey, sweet. And when I had eaten it, my belly became bitter. And they say to me, Thou must again prophesy of many peoples, and nations, and tongues, and kings. Chapter 11. And there was given me a reed like to a staff, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and those who worship therein. And the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, because it was given to the Gentiles, and they will tread down the holy city 42 months. And I will give power to my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees, and the 2 lampstands, which stand before the Lord of the earth. And if anyone desires to hurt them, fire goes forth out of their mouth, and devours their enemies. And if anyone desires to hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over the waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with every plague as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that comes up out of the abyss will make war with them, and will overcome them, and will kill them. And their remains are on the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where their Lord also was crucified. And some out of the peoples and tribes and tongues and nations look on their remains 3 days and a half, and suffer not their dead bodies to be put into a tomb. And they who dwell on the earth rejoice over them, and are glad, and they will send gifts to one another, because these 2 prophets tormented those who dwell on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon those who beheld them. And they heard a loud voice out of heaven saying to them, Come up hither. And they went up into heaven in the cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And in that hour there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000 names, and the rest became afraid, and gave glory to the God of heaven. The 2nd woe is past. Behold, the 3rd woe comes quickly. And the seventh angel sounded, and there followed loud voices in heaven, saying, "The kingdom of the world is become our Lord's and his Christ's, and he will reign forever and ever." And the 24 elders who sit before God on their thrones fell upon their faces and worshipped God, saying, "We give thanks to thee, O Lord God the Almighty, who art and who wast, because thou hast taken thy great power and didst reign. And the nations were enraged, and thy wrath came, and the time of the dead to be judged, and to give the reward to thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and to those who fear thy name, the small and the great, and to destroy those who destroy the earth." And the temple of God was opened in heaven, and the ark of his covenant was seen in his temple. And there were lightnings and voices and thunders and an earthquake and a great hail. Chapter 12. And a great sign was seen in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And being with child, she cries out, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. And another sign was seen in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads 7 crowns. And his tail drags the third part of the stars of heaven, and it cast them to the earth. And the dragon stands before the woman who was about to bring forth, that when she has brought forth, he may devour her child. And she brought forth a man-child, who will rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, that they may nourish her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting with the dragon. And the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast down, the old serpent, called the devil and Satan, who leads astray the whole world. He was cast down to the earth, and his angels were cast down with him. And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, "Now is come the salvation, and the strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the authority of his Christ, because the accuser of our brethren is cast down, who accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb, and because of the word of their testimony, and they loved not their life unto the death. For this cause rejoice, ye heavens, and they who dwell in them. Woe to the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down to you, having great wrath, knowing that he has little time." And when the dragon saw that he was cast down to the earth, he persecuted the woman who brought forth the man-child. And there were given to the woman the 2 wings of the great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was enraged at the woman, and he departed to make war with the rest of her seed, who keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus. Chapter 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast coming up out of the sea, having 10 horns and 7 heads, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads names of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like to a leopard, and his feet as of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave to him his power, and his throne, and great authority. And one of his heads as it were wounded unto death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, because he gave the authority to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying,
who is like to the beast? And